Oh yeah, I'm trying to kill a wasp, by the way. That has now taken complete precedent over filming this video. And I'm trying to kill it with a blueberry muffin candle. Sent to me by a faithful yobber. Big shout out. You're gonna help me survive another day. Hello friends. I start out every manly monthly video, but I've done one of those. I start off every yob video production with fire. I always have. So I feel an inherent responsibility to continue to burn and burn and burn. However, you might notice my new set piece, very, very meticulously put together. And front and center are my first ever plants that I've ever owned, y'all. I've never owned a plant until this moment. And the plants need water, people tell me. I figure like a yin and yang to these videos now would be to introduce not just fire, but no, this is not coffee, but it is in fact H2O, which I was gonna say is hydrochloric acid, but that is incorrect. It's called something. What is it? It's 2 hydrogens and an oxygen. It's time to feed the plants, and then once I do that, we're gonna dive into gratefulness, gratitude, thankfulness, and Thanksgiving as a celebration of the November that was, November 2019 at yourotherbrothers.com. So here we are with the water. My poor little succulent has been asking about it. And a cactus with an amazing orange mohawk. I don't know if y'all can see it. Do you see it? It's like a afro, orange afro. And then just to keep the tradition going, let's get to the Manly Monthly. Now that our thirst is quenched and our fires are lit, my name is Tom. I am the editor, co-founder of Your Other Brothers. We are a community navigating faith, homosexuality, and masculinity together. Kicking off November, fittingly, was a blog post from our very own Kevin. He wrote a blog called Why I Go to Pornography. Kicking off No Porn November. No Porn November is a thing that exists. You know how they have Movember, where you don't shave your mustache the entire month? That's not what I'm doing, because I tried that once. It did not go well. Well, this is No Porn November, and Kevin talks about his journey undertaking that endeavor. You know what would be really interesting would be No Porn Movember, where you not only avoid looking at pornography all month long, but you also grow a mustache. Wow, what a month. Our esteemed and highly acclaimed author, Dean, wrote a blog post this month called Do I Like Physical Touch Now? We do a lot of physical touch posts on the site, and this month, speaking of fire and water, yin and yang, Dean wrote a post called Do I Like Physical Touch Now? And then I actually wrote a post called I'm Just Not That Into Physical Touch Anymore. So it's an interesting contrast, a little comparison. It just worked out that way that these blogs, I didn't necessarily plan it. I mean, I did a little, but it worked out to where he wrote about where he is in his journey with touch with other men. I wrote about where I am with mine, and I find it a very interesting, fascinating contrast. I've known Dean for years now, and he's therefore known me for years now. So check out those pair of blog posts for just like an interesting dual perspectives on the topic of physical touch and the love languages. And then our most popular post of the month came from our very own, why am I saying our very own? These are all our very own. These are our other brothers. These are my other brothers. But this one comes from Ben, and it's called The Day I Came Out to My Wife. He's in a marriage, what some might call a mixed orientation marriage. And he talks about this concept of coming out to her while he was dating her, and how he dated lots of women actually throughout high school. For those that are married, who are considering marriage, who are dating, I think it's a really awesome perspective. I'm grateful to have not only Ben's perspective as a pastor, but as a married man, and just someone who's really open and really vulnerable with his story. Over in podcast land, because we do a podcast too here at Your Other Brothers, you can subscribe going to Apple Podcasts or Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts. Just search Your Other Brothers podcast, and we would love you to follow along. Give us a rating too. If you have a few seconds on your hand, a rating goes a long way to help us get our show more and more noticed, more and more out there into the podcast sphere. So many thanks in advance for that. The wasp is still at bay. At large, rather. Is he at bay too? He's moving. And I will find him. For our 53rd podcast, we invited Jacob's older brother, Nate, onto the show. And we did a little interview, a little hangout session with Jacob and Nate, along with Ryan. And it was such a great episode. I love all three of those guys so much. They're very near and dear to my heart. And it was really cool to be able to hear Jacob and Nate's origin story about how Jacob came out to his brother, how his brother responded, and how they've learned to support each other over the years. It's a really beautiful story. One of my favorite conversations we've ever had on the show. As to where I am this month, because November is typically, honestly, and I've written about this on my personal site, November is my least favorite month of the year. It's kind of this awkward in-between fall and winter month. I've had a lot of personal hard things, death, loss, things happen in the month of November in years past. So it just brings up a lot of negative feelings for me. And the holidays, I imagine for many people watching, the holidays are not really as holly and jolly as they maybe used to be. The older I get, the more single I remain. It's kind of this spotlight that keeps shining a little brighter. That yeah, maybe this is the rest of my life, and I'm not necessarily bummed out by that. I mean, a little bit. I'm learning to make the most of my singleness and have some epic adventures and do a lot of meaningful work, but it's still hard. It's hard to look around the room and feel the inherent differentness of seeing families together, families with kids running around. It can be a difficult scene to fully step into and not feel some kind of disconnect with it. Thanksgiving though, I have made the turn in the last year or so that Thanksgiving is not just for November. Thanksgiving is for the entire year long. And Thanksgiving, honestly, is one of the greatest weapons we have against sin, against temptation, against feelings of despair, against feelings of deservedness that I should have more than I have right now. It's really looking in the mirror. It's really recounting your last day, recounting your last month, your last year, and really your whole life, recognizing what God has given you, what you are blessed with, and expressing gratitude for it, despite the struggles, despite the temptations, despite all the reasons to not be grateful. So in closing, for this Manly Monthly, I wanted to read from one of my favorite Psalms, Psalm 100, a fitting way to close out this month and enter into a new holiday season with Christmas right around the corner. Psalm 100 says, "Make a joyful noise to the Lord, all the earth. Serve the Lord with gladness. Come into his presence with singing. Know that the Lord, he is God. It is he who made us, and we are his. We are his people and the sheep of his pasture. Enter his gates with thanksgiving and his courts with praise. Give thanks to him, bless his name. For the Lord is good. His steadfast love endures forever, and his faithfulness to all generations." Amen and amen. Thanks for watching this video. If you like what we're doing at Your Other Brothers, support what we're doing. You can subscribe to this channel, you can like this video, you can sign up for notifications. Feel free to leave a comment below. Are the holidays hard? Is Thanksgiving hard? What are some basic things that you're thankful for? And if you have any impetus to respond to our content, we love getting comments, we love getting emails. Comment on any of our blog posts, our podcast posts, or shoot us an email, contact@yourotherbrothers.com. We would love to hear from you. And that was the Manly Monthly, the month that was manly. Let us all have a manly month yet to be. The wasp is still at large. Send help, please.